я щойно побачила, як летить ракета. І я почула це.
There he is. How you doing, Pete?
Very good. Good to see you, Todd.
Good to see you, man. So there's a narrative I hear in the press in the effort to keep this war going, which I think is what's going on. The Ukrainians are now the Spartans, and then that's I'm hearing that when you hear it, the Mockingbird media say that a few times. That's a thing. So what's actually happening on the ground, my friend?
Yeah, well, thanks. So from the ground, we got a tip, as you know, that was talking about General Kellogg and him being in Kyiv constantly, but also moving around with this same NGO at all times. And to all of our viewers, the NGOs are really the logistics side of the Ukrainian involvement in the war. They're private contractors who are really providing what normally in the military, your logistics, your quartermaster does. That's what's happening still in Ukraine to this day. And so we just did some background. As again, our viewers know, you and I have been talking about this, no other way to describe it, but bizarre contradiction between President Trump's platform that he got elected on, which was to find rapid, peaceful solution to the war in Ukraine, to bring together the two warring parties, Russia and Ukraine, which hadn't been done, and to find common ground, to find peace. We've talked about and speculated that he must be getting bad advice because his actions do not match up with his words and what we know he believes. What we've heard him say is not what is happening on the ground. So we've also posted in numerous comments by General Kellogg where we've just said he's intellectually lazy or he's just totally bought into the propaganda of the war. And now we know, and we're going to go through some things right here that are eye-opening and definitely call for an explanation from him and potentially his resignation, his recusal from the role that he's in right now as negotiator and primary advisor to the president on the war. So
yeah, so that's I've got two videos, just let me tell you. One is him at the production center, and the other was the one on Fox News about him pushing that. So I can play those when you want. But I just wanted to say that I had a conversation with someone close to the Trump team last night, and they think that this, I said, what are you going to do? Keep the war going for 6 more months and kill another 500,000 guys? And they said, well, it's not going to take 6 months. But I want to say that we care about the Ukrainian people. We're destroying them. We want the war to end for their sake. I mean, they're not getting anything out of this, and there needs to be some kind of peaceful solution. So that's where we're coming from. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Break the news, or do you want to play the videos first, or what do you want to do?
I think so. Go chronologically. We should. I think the Fox News shows his beliefs on the war, and they're pretty strong. And it's a good start point to go through this thing sequentially.
All right, so I will play that now. Hold on.
Professors speak. Look, this shouldn't be about NATO unity. While that's important, this is all about Ukraine. And Ukraine is actually winning the fight today because the Russians are stalemated. Clearly, they're digging in. They haven't made advances at all. Let's figure out a way to let this new Sparta, Ukraine, win the fight. And they can. But we just have to give them the support they need. They've asked for things we haven't given to them. We haven't given them the MiG-29s. Give them the MiG-29s. Increase the Air Force by 1/3. create the Iron Dome over the western part of Ukraine with the S-300s. So we go to the NATO countries, 3 of them that have them, and replace those with Patriots right away. Take them out of Fort Bliss, Texas, put them in there. We say to them, okay, we're going to give you the Switchblade 600s, not the 300s, because the 600s that haven't arrived yet have Javelin warheads on them and have a range of 40 kilometers, 24 miles. We give them intelligence. We have incredible, exquisite intelligence gathering. We've got to figure a way to do it. We did it when I was involved in Bosnia, where we assisted giving intelligence kind of below, underneath the table, but we did it. Unleash your covert activities here in the United States. We've got an incredible covert team with the CIA. We can bring forces to bear, so can the allies. Let's give Ukraine a chance to win this. And why? Because that will reset the entire world, not just Europe, because the Chinese will pay attention to this. The North Koreans will pay attention to this. The Iranians will pay attention to this. So I believe you have a chance, probably once in a lifetime, to reset this.
Wow.
Yeah, just wow. Sorry, I don't know what happened there, but several things. One, he admitted to me, I caught that, he was doing under the table stuff in Bosnia, and that was a whole globalist op in itself, which similar to this one. And then he used the Sparta language, so he's following the talking points. And then he's talking about Iron Dome over Eastern Ukraine. What the hell, dude? I mean, only a few $1 trillion there. I mean,
and he's talking about the covert ops, which is which includes what the Ukrainians have been doing, which is assassinations. It's so when you hear the covert ops, you're talking about the assassinations that we've seen of some of the Russian generals who are /scientists. They're developmental generals. A number of them have been killed in Moscow. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's not even a slightly one-sided view. That is a full-up, call it what you will, neocon, warmongering, military-industrial complex,
big time.
And just bought into all of the propaganda. So that's the first part. And you can, if it was just that, we would say.
I think I lost Pete there. Pete, you froze, man. You may have to drop back out and come back in if you're still there.
And we do not have a favorite. There shouldn't be a favorite. We want the war to end, the killing to stop. And of course, as we constantly remind our viewers, the U.S. and the EU started the war by overthrowing the Ukrainian government. I lay money that he has no idea and has chosen to ignore that, dismiss it, pick your adjective or your verb, your adverb, and he's just totally has put that out of his mind. And he's a 100%. We've got to let Ukraine win. Calling them Sparta is again farcical.
Well, there's two other things I picked up there. One, he said that the Russians are not making any progress. That's a lie, because every day I see another village taken. There's articles coming out every day. And then he also said we can win this thing. What does winning look like? Continuous forever help from the American military-industrial complex. I mean, we're paying their salaries, we're paying their military, we're paying everything. What is this?
Yeah, and Todd, the other thing about it is you and I have featured on this show the other American generals, active and retire, and these talking points are the same. So it's very clear that they're all on the same payroll, influencer payroll. They've all getting the same information, and they've bought into it 100%, which, of course, it's what Eisenhower warned of, when he was president of the United States. So again, that's just one part, his views, which, again, my opinion, it's up to President Trump, but that alone should disqualify him from being the negotiator, facilitator, and primary advisor on finding peace in the Ukraine war. That alone. But it gets deeper than that. That's where the guy on the ground comments came in saying, hey, he spends all his time with the same NGO. Well, it turns out the NGO is called the Weatherman, and it's his daughter, Megan Mobbs, is the president. She leads the Weatherman Foundation, which is an NGO, and has been actively supporting Ukraine since the start of the war in 2022. She spends most of her time there in Kyiv also. So if you go on the website, again, it's worth going on their website to review it, because it's a prime example of almost all of these NGOs' websites. They talk about what they do, and when you're finished reading all the pages, you have no idea what they actually do.
That's by design.
Yeah, exactly. But you do see that millions, hundreds of millions of dollars are flowing through. So, it reminded me while I was researching it, why we need Elon Musk back and Doge, and staying on this USAID money laundering NGO network that is poisoning the world today. But it's very apparent in Ukraine, as I mentioned earlier, and this is coming from guys who were there. It runs the Ukraine war. The NGOs run the logistics system of the Ukraine
It's
war.
very similar to Biden and his, I think it was son-in-law or something, that owned the company that was producing all the educational materials for DEI in schools, and he's pushing the DEI and pushing this company. I think it was called Paramount or something like that, and making money off of it hand over fist at the same time. That looks as what Kellogg's doing.
Yeah. And so, he spends his time with his daughter. Again, you go on the website, and I just want to pop it open here real quick. And I want to just, so I'm reading on the website right now. It's the RT Weatherman Foundation is what it's called. And so over the last 2 weeks, our ground team, along with Foundation President Megan Mobbs, has hosted Lieutenant General retired Keith Kellogg across Ukraine. Because of our notable presence in hard-to-reach areas, Lieutenant General Kellogg was able to travel with us from Odessa to Kharkiv and as far east as Izium. Along the way, we met with government and military officials, visited frontline hospitals and shelters, and provided general situational awareness of human rights abuses and the overall impact of the war in Ukraine. So once again, as far as human rights, this is the propaganda that they're so rigid about exposing anyone who visits. They take them to Bucha, which again, you and I have covered, thanks to some great French journalists. The Bucha myth has been proven to be just that, a massive myth perpetrated by Ukrainian special ops. They brought in the bodies. No one knows where the bodies came from. They were not killed there. They were definitely Eastern Ukrainians, which is ethnic Russian, which would make no sense for the Russians to kill. But that has been promulgated, and we've used the term intellectually lazy. That's what happens if you go there and just look at their pictures and their narrative and don't ask questions or don't do research yourself. You're going to be duped. Just like everyone else, all the other visitors. But again,
so this is Megan Mobbs. You're saying that's Kellogg's daughter?
Yes. Yep.
Wow.
And she's the president of the foundation. So, and again, I'll just give you a couple of her comments from, she did interviews with the Kyiv Post, and, which
is a Soros outlet, if there ever was one.
Thank you. And controlled by Zelensky. A peace at all costs is not a peace at all. It's surrender. So we have to be very careful about what peace means. That's one of her comments. When everything is still so real and people are dying right now, how can we talk about friendship when that's happening? after Ukraine's victory, there's still going to be a need for things to be done here. Every NGO says that because every NGO wants to keep.
Yeah, they want a piece of the action.
Paid.
I mean, yeah,
right.
it's going to be big money. She's right. There's going to be big money to be made there. So these people are on the ground. They keep the war going as long as they can, harm the population. And if you think about it, to rebuild Ukraine into what they want, not what it was, because all the people are dead. So,
and there's your point about we actually support Ukraine far more than these fake Ukraine supporters, because if you really believe Ukraine for Ukrainians, then you would want nothing to do with these NGOs, with the EU, because they want to run Ukraine. They want to own Ukraine.
Well, they want the land and the resources. You know, they did land reform a while back, where what land reform was allowing peasants to sell their land to BlackRock and other big U.S. corporations. So you've seen just a big land grab in Ukraine, a very, very agrarian, you know, just the breadbasket of Europe, very fertile land.
Yeah.
Back to you.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, it's so let's take it to the next step. So there's nothing wrong with a general's daughter. There's nothing specifically wrong with the chief negotiator's daughter running a massive NGO in one of the countries he's trying to negotiate peace with.
This is a special report.
Knowing how to invest your money is harder than ever before. Dealing with stock market volatility, record debt, and terrorist attacks requires new thinking. At U.S. Asset Management, we can help you see the world more clearly so that you can move beyond the chaos and invest with confidence. Call us, visit us online, or drop by our office. U.S. Asset Management, helping you make better decisions with your money.
Your government doesn't care about you. That's why you need a medical emergency kit. It contains life-saving medications like ivermectin, Z-Pak, and antibiotics. Stock them before they block them.
But if there's obvious potential
to keep the war going. So
so there's obvious potential conflicts of interest, and they're all apparent too if you go through her social media accounts, her X accounts and whatnot. So one of them is one we did a full episode on when we did the episode on Operation Spiderweb, the bombing of 5 different Russian nuclear bases, air bases. Only 2 were actually hit, but we've seen that videos. So that happened on June 1st. It took Russia 5.5 days to respond, which, if you recall, was their first and their biggest at the time, 300 drones and missiles fired at targets around Ukraine on the 5th and 6th. So here from social media of Kellogg's daughter. During the night attack on Kyiv from June 5th to 6th, Megan Mobbs, daughter of U.S. Special Envoy of Ukraine, made a direct appeal to her father on social media during Russia's combined missile and drone attack. And here's the appeal. Loud night in Kyiv, Dad. It might be the explosions and gunfire in the dead of night, but I get the strange feeling the Russians don't want peace, Mobbs wrote on X. So this explains one of Donald Trump's, contradictory actions that don't match his words, and that embarrassing rebuke of Russia for retaliating after Ukraine bombed Russian nuclear bases. So it was there was no doubt Russia had every right to retaliate in some way, and this was a very measured attack. If you remember that night, 5 people died. All of them were security guards in the factories that were bombed. But, again, it was very embarrassing for President Trump's credibility. The Russian media was all over it, as was the world media. And then one more example. So we all know about Yermak. He's the primary assistant to Zelensky. Head of presidential office of Ukraine. He's already expressed multiple times gratitude to Kellogg's daughter. And one of his social media posts that I found just said this: My thanks also to U.S. Presidential Envoy Keith Kellogg for our meeting in Washington, our important conversation, and our full mutual understanding that Putin is evil. To me, again, that's grounds for dismissal. Back to his original comment, helping Ukraine win is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to reset the world stage. And I just would kind of conclude this way, to his daughter, and I know I researched, she's a veteran. We've talked about this too. It's nothing personal. This has happened to a number of U.S. veterans who go over there, retired, and go over there as an employee of these NGOs. The same thing seems to happen to all of them. Kyiv is a wonderful city with amazing architecture, warm, friendly people, and lots of things to do day or night. So anyone who goes to Kyiv is going to love it, is going to love staying there, especially when you're being paid top dollar to do something that has no real metrics for success, no real pressure on you. You're just moving money. You're just basically moving supplies. And pretty soon, after a little bit of time, you're going to get emotional about anyone or anything that interrupts your random dream job.
There's a lot of really serious honeypots over there too. So that's a thing.
Well, it's a total thing. We've talked about that too. But we have to call them out. They've been duped by propaganda. If she was in an actual media interview, I would love for a real reporter, there are none in Ukraine today, to just ask her, do you know anything about what happened in 2013 and 2014? Do you know anything about our involvement in that? And I guarantee you, both her and her dad don't. And what they have heard, they've chosen to ignore. So again, the conclusion, General Kellogg owes an explanation to President Trump and the American people, first about his past statements, which are inflammatory. They're as far war right as you can get. And he owes a full disclosure of both his direct and indirect ties, operational and financial, to this NGO that's part of a web of NGOs that have been supporting the war since 2022.
People need to realize that is a Soros system that's built over there. You get these kids out of college, he puts them in the NGOs that he funds and the USAID was funding, and you groom them, and then you get them in government, and then you get them under the globalist banner propaganda thing, and that's what's going on in Ukraine, man.
Yeah. The question is this: how can the president's primary representative, peace facilitator, and advisor on the war be a person who not only personally wants the war to continue, but also directly or indirectly profits from the continuation of the war? And I'll leave you that on all these NGOs, the main thing to remember about the NGOs that are in Ukraine right now is they make money one way, with the war continuing. That's the only way.
And with the American dollars continuing.
Yes. And so how can we have any chance at finding peace, any kind of solution that makes sense? It's not going to happen. And so
it's subversive.
Like
it's subverting the president's policy and authority.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
Let me just here's a quick clip, and then we'll come back to you. This is a quick video of Kellogg visiting, and just to show his enthusiasm, the production plant in Ukraine. So you see that, but here's just a quick contrast. The Ukrainian people are suffering. This is a demonstration showing people looking for their lost loved ones, thousands of them.
У мене 5 дітей. Чому ми повинні постійно випрашувати ці гроші?
Я сестра зниклого безвісті. 22 серпня буде рік, як зник мій брат. Виплати сім'ям безвісті – це не подачка, це обов'язок держави. І коли ми чуємо про затримку 3-6 місяців, а інколи буває і більше, це не просто бюрократія, це якась зневага до тих сімей, у яких сталося таке горе. Систему треба змінювати. Треба змінювати на спрощення подачі документів. Треба думати про то і розуміти про то, що жінка з першого дня потребує підтримки.
Давали запити кругом, прийшов відповідь, що
So I won't play all of that, but you know, I looked at that video with Kellogg. I mean, highly produced. They don't show the 25,000 dead bodies that, you know, happened in June on the front on the Ukrainian side. So it's just absurd, man. Trump's being lied to, and that's what pisses me off.
Yeah, and me too, and it should every American. And again, President Trump needs to take action. I mean, we've used up all our credibility with Russia because they must look at this and go, Trump has to know who this guy is, what his true beliefs are, and what he's doing in Ukraine. And it's just for his credibility. And again, I believe President Trump genuinely wants peace. I believe President Trump genuinely has a non-tainted view of Russia and an equal view of Ukraine. I believe he doesn't have a favorite, but he's clearly been duped. This propaganda, everything Kellogg says is the same thing we heard out of Cavoli. It's the same thing we've heard out of other retired generals. They're talking points, they're propaganda talking points. And for them, they want the war to continue. They want U.S. presence to continue. And I guess it all goes back to what we started with in our very first episode, which is the only solution is for President Trump to pull all Americans, military and civilian, out of Ukraine immediately and let Ukraine be Ukraine for Ukrainians. Let them find their future themselves. We've certainly been at it since 2013. If they can't stand on their own now, they never will.
It's
and
very similar to what we saw in Iraq and, you know, Afghanistan. I mean, this is it's just very, very, very frustrating. Trump keeps saying, I want the killing to stop. Well, dude, you're the one that can stop the killing. Pull the people out, it stops. So
but what we're now realizing, a whole nother reality exists in his meetings and his information pipes. He's just, you know, slowly, incrementally being duped by the same propaganda machine that started this war and covered up how it was started.
His initial instincts were perfect. And, you know, and now all these, you mentioned some of these retired Cavoli, you know, I don't know where he went, but I would bet a majority of them have cushy jobs in some defense firm or at some media company. You know, that's just the fact of life. Yeah. So they're on the payroll. They're coin operated, man.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But again, that's what we do on your show. We expose this stuff. We get to the bottom of it. And now it's, I think, in President Trump's court.
Pete, anything else, my friend?
Nope, that's it, Todd. I know you're traveling tomorrow, so safe travels, and can't wait to hear what you find out while you're gone.
Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I was hoping to get up to Nagorno-Karabakh and see the war zone there, but I guess you can't get there from Armenia. So maybe I'll have to come back through Azerbaijan on another trip to get to that region. But I was really interested in that whole thing. That's, you know, because you got Russia, you got the Azeris, you got the Iranians, you got the Armenians. I mean, it's all there, man. It's like you got the Israelis involved. So it's like it's a microcosm of everything that's happening in the world. So anyway, Pete, thank you. Real quick, where do people follow you the best?
PeteBlaber.com and PeteBlaber.substack.com.
Excellent. We will see everybody back after this break. Thank you, Pete. Take care.